Welcome to So Much to Wear, a YouTube channel all about how to do thrift flips or recycle the clothes you already have into something new to save money and keep things out of the landfill. In this quarantine life episode, I filled my fiance with some liquid creativity, as we like to call it, for a deep dive into one of the hottest trends of the season, tie-dye, to test a ton of different methods to see the results you can get using the bare minimum when it comes to supplies. We didn't know what we were doing, so you can watch this to see what works, what doesn't, maybe what we did wrong, and hopefully avoid ruining any of your clothes along the way. Let's get started. Here's what we had on hand while we're stuck at home. Dish soap to help make the dye work a little bit better, bleach, an empty spray bottle, rubber bands, a couple of different colors of RIT dye. If you can get your hands on a tie-dye kit, that would be ideal. But if you don't have any dye at all, keep watching because you can do half of these techniques with just some bleach. You'll also need a shallow container closed to dye, maybe some kind of tarp or container to protect your home or driveway. Hello, IKEA bags or Tupperware. Ice, and a way to heat your water. We used a crab boil. You could also use your stove, a microwave, just something to get that water piping hot. Now I'm going to break down each different technique we used and show you how it turned out. First, we got all of the clothes that we were using wet, and we started our first experiment. Ice bleaching. We took a baking dish, poured in some ice, then poured in some bleach and let it sit for a while. We took Patrick's tank top, pinched a peak in the fabric of the tank just like that, and twisted it together. This is what's going to create that swirl pattern. Then we put his tank top on top of the ice, placed a few of the cubes on top of the tank top. Now the idea here is that the ice cubes will melt, causing the bleach to contact the material at different times, creating more of a blurred effect without any harsh edges. Now this by far was the easiest top to work with. As you can see, the bleach really pulled out the color quickly. So once we could see obvious fading, about 15 minutes later, we washed it with soap, dried it. Then I told Patrick that he needed to walk like he was in a fashion show. And this is how it all came out. Almost like a cloud, a really cool faded effect. And Patrick, almost like Giselle. Amazing. Second bleach technique, two-tone denim. Pour equal parts water and bleach into a pot. I took this button-down chambray shirt and dipped one of the sides into that pot of bleach, splashing some of that bleach up a little bit to create a faded effect. Now it took a lot longer for the bleach to do its job. I left it in the pot for about 40 minutes. Now what you need to know is every piece of clothing is going to react differently to both the bleach and dye. You don't want to keep it in too long. For the bleach, thinner material literally will get eaten up by the bleach and be destroyed and shred when you wash it. Darker materials, however, do need to be kept in the bleach longer to really see that color removal. You really just have to eyeball it and feel it out. It's best, of course, not to get greedy or you risk totally ruining and losing your item. The longer you bleach it, supposedly, the faster it will fall apart over time as well. Now I did make the mistake of touching my non-bleach side with my bleachy fingers here when I removed the shirt from this bleach. Well, after washing and drying it, this is how it came out. The only flaw is you can kind of see my finger marks right there from the bleach. But anyways, I like the fact that there isn't an obvious line in the back. I think that this really comes from diluting your water instead of just using straight bleach and doing a little bit of that splashing. But two-tone denim, I like it. And technique 3, tie-dye bleach. Here's what I did. I laid this shirt flat and then sort of accordion folded it. So folding it under, then over, then under. You get the picture. You want to make sure that little parts of it are going to be evenly left out in the open for the bleach to touch, if that makes sense. I left it folded up, then I sprayed it with diluted bleach and I left it in the sun. And to be honest, I thought that this shirt was never gonna work, and I did have to leave it in the sun for about 2 hours. But in the end, it actually turned into this really cool natural sun bleached effect. And now we are dipping into more complicated territory, projects with bleach and tie-dye. Technique 4, dip, bleaching, and dyeing. Now here's a joie, I think that's how you pronounce it, shirt I got for $2 at a store with the intentions to sell it on Poshmark, only I did not realize that there were stains on the bottom. That was a rookie thrifting mistake. So what I did here to switch it, kind of try to flip it, is dip it into that same bleach pot I had already prepared. And I got a little bit more aggressive with the splashery. The color came out of this shirt super quickly, so I washed it off with water and soap after about 20 minutes. Now, next we get into the fun stuff with the dye. Patrick started up that crab boil to get the water as hot as possible to activate the RIT dye that we were going to mix it with. We mixed in the pot a little dollop of dish soap with about a gallon of water. Patrick just eyeballed how much normally is in a milk jug to do his measurements. You really don't have to be super precise here. And then put about 1/4 of a bottle of the red dye. And really check out that boiling color. How exciting is that? Then I dipped the shirt hem into the red dye, being sure to leave a gap from where the bleach faded to make sure that not all of the bleached area was in the dye. Then I flicked the dye around, which for the record, I regret. That was a mistake. I did that a little bit too harshly. And then I left this to set for about 30 minutes, rinsed it out, and washed it. And this is the final effect. Now, I really wish that I had used pink dye instead of red. I really think that this effect is cool and has a lot of potential. But on this particular shirt, I think it looks like the lower half of me was bitten by a shark and that I'm bleeding out or something. But maybe that's just me. This might be a perfect shirt for somebody else. So I'm selling it in my Poshmark closet. If you like it, I'll have the link in my description. It's a size large. Check it out if you're interested. Next technique, reverse tie-dye with bleach. Here are our black shirts. With Patrick's, we went ahead and made a peak to create that same spiral effect we've been talking about, then dipped it into the ice bleach bath tray to let it soak, rotated it a couple times. It took a long time to pull the color out of this shirt. We actually had to attempt it a second day after not leaving it in long enough the first time when we first tried to do this. And then here's my black shirt. I wanted more of a galaxy look, so I put water diluted bleach into a spray bottle and sprayed it all over, getting super close to the shirt in some areas for more concentration and then farther away for lighter areas. It also took a long time to get the color out of this shirt. So over time, I just kind of watched on how it was reacting to the bleach and then just sprayed it again and again so that I would get lots of different layers, leaving it in the sun to kind of cook and bleach. Now, I really didn't wash the bleach off of these until I was worried that they would be destroyed. It took a really long time to get this color out. Like I said, I would say probably at least an hour. Then I threw them into the washer with soap, and when that was done, they were still wet, of course, so we went ahead and added the dye. We prepared 3 different tie-dye colors for this: gray, blue, and red. Patrick, I think, accidentally poured blue all over his shirt right away. So there goes that one. Lesson learned, be careful not to add too much of one color too early on, especially if you're working with the darker color first. We let the tie-dye on his sit for several hours, washed it, dried it. This is how it came out. It's not as colorful as we had hoped. I think that this is because the colors we had on hand for this weren't as bright, to not be working with like a bright white base. So that's how I feel about that. For my shirt, I stuck to the spray bottle method with the tie-dyeing. I sprayed different dye colors on the shirt. Once again, let it sit all day and then washed it. Now this is the result. I actually think it's kind of cool, but Patrick thinks it appears that a velociraptor slashed my chest open. I don't know about that. But once again, it's not as colorful as it could be if we were using real tie-dye colors. So I'm gonna save both of our shirts and try that technique with different dyes again in the future, since they're already bleached anyways. And finally, with our other shirts, we just played around with the tie-dye, just doing some spirals, some accordion folds, and on this one, what I think is the scientific term is the crumple effect. I took my wet shirt, crumpled it into a ball, and poured the red dye on it. And here's how this one came out, very similar to the ice bleach method, very natural, kind of random tie-dyeing. And here's how the other ones turned out. This one was created by making 2 different peaks for a double spiral. This one was done with an accordion fold and rubber band into random sections, creating some interesting lines there. And last but not least, this in sync crop I bought for $1 at a thrift store. This one is definitely going in my Poshmark closet. It was created with 1 spiral and a conservative dash of blue dye just on the front side of the shirt. If you are into 90s fashion, you need this, especially if you liked NSYNC. I personally am a Backstreet Boy girl. I hope that this helps somebody out there or helps keep you busy and your mind busy during these difficult times. Please like and subscribe to see more content, more experiments like this. I've also got a couple other videos of some projects that can keep you busy, save you money, and of course help protect the environment and keep things out of the landfill. Thanks for watching.